It's been another fantastic Premier League weekend. Really quite some spectacular football played. And the emergence of Erling Haaland as a great player was, I think, almost sealed yesterday. He scored 17 goals in his first 10 games in England. And yesterday he scored a hat-trick against Manchester United in the Manchester Derby. And that was his third successive hat-trick at the Etihad Stadium. I'm joined now by two of the greatest players that have ever played the game in England, John Giles and Liam Brady, to talk about Haaland and to assess, or at least to get their assessment of him. John, this is sensational stuff. He seems like a fantastic lad. I saw his interview with Gary Neville before the match yesterday. Sky played it out. Modest, professional, self-effacing, but my God, what a player.
Oh, yeah, brilliant timing. I mean, as you say, he seems to get on well with the rest of his teammates, which is always a good sign. I mean, you do meet some of the great players don't get on so well, but he seems a good lad. He seems to be mixing in. He's doing his stuff on the pitch, which is the main thing. Took his goals exceptionally well again. I couldn't say too much about him, Eamon, to be quite honest. Really, really good. Really good.
And Liam, you've played with great players. You're a great player yourself. But something about this young man sets him apart, even from other great players we've seen in the past. He just doesn't appear to have a flaw.
That's right. He ticks all the boxes, Eamon. Good in the air, can go left side, right side, got pace, got physique. He really does tick all the boxes, as I said. He's a marvellous player, and he's playing in a team that's going to create him chances. Like, he's playing with some great players as well. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
You got Silva, you got
Foden.
Not Silva, but not Rodri either. He's playing with De Bruyne and Foden and people like that. Even they're going to give him chances. And the Portuguese lad, Bernardo Silva,
yes.
Yeah, he's terrific as well. So he's going to get the chances created by those guys, and boy, can he finish! Yeah,
John, is it too early to say the league is over and the Champions League now it has been for City the missing link, as it were? This is why Guardiola went there. It's why he went to Munich as well, and it's eluded him. But with Haaland scoring and playing the way he's playing, I mean, he's not just a goal scorer. He leads a line. He set up a couple of goals, one for Phil Foden, for example, and was very happy to do so. Is it fair to say that anything can happen in football, but this team does not look like it can be caught? They were short of two central defenders yesterday, Diaz and Stones as well.
Yeah, well, they look great at the moment, Eamon, but as you say, we all say in football, you never know what's going to happen. The most amazing things happen in football. But at the moment, they look the best bet to do what you think they can do. And I would agree with that. But it's a long way to go.
Yes, of course, yeah. I mean, 10 games.
Yeah, I know you know that. But at the moment, definitely, yeah. And Foden is going to come on.
Yes.
He's a real, I think he's the real McCoy as well. He's not Haaland, but he's plays in a different position. But he scored a hat-trick as well, So he's coming on well, and you mentioned Silva in the middle of the pitch. I think he has to play for City in the middle of the field. He doesn't play, well, none of them play all the time. And De Bruyne was brilliant yesterday.
Yes.
Definitely brilliant. I'm not a great fan of his most of the time. But his display yesterday, distributing the ball, really, really important passes, was excellent. But you'd have to say, and I think he'll come to the Manchester United, Eamon, I thought they were a disgrace yesterday. Yeah. Absolute disgrace.
Yes.
Anyway.
No, I think it's important to say that. And also to say, like you, I've had reservations about De Bruyne in the past, but there seems to be an empathy between him, a telepathy really, between De Bruyne and Haaland. And a lot of Haaland's goals, of the 17 he scored, De Bruyne has set them up with those very, very good crosses. And that's a very important thing for the team, that the relationship between them seems to work. And that's intuition. It's football now, but it's very important.
Oh, totally. I mean, you know, when you go back over the great teams of the past, obviously they've always had a great goal scorer or somebody that delivered the ball. You go to Manchester United in the early days with Ronaldo, you had young Beckham and
Scholes,
you know, delivering those passes as well as Giggs. You know, somebody has to do it. You know, the great strikers have to be helped, as we know. And it's a really, really good combination.
Liam, Manchester United, really, it was 6-1, and then they got 2 late consolation goals. I think really City, I saw Pep on the touchline. He was actually kissing people. And it must be great, a joy for him to have this player whose buyout clause was 57 million from Dortmund, which is interesting, and again shows a cleverness on his part. But Manchester United were very poorly, weren't they?
Oh yeah, as John says, they were shameful, really, weren't they? You know, the effort they showed and the lack of professionalism, and they were all over the place, Eamon. But I think we predicted at the start of the season that you know, nothing was going to change at Old Trafford because of the way things are run, you know.
Yes.
And you know, City embarrassed them, didn't they? But I have to say, City are not top of the league. You just said will City get caught? Actually, they're
I'm coming to Arsenal, and I know you were at the stadium.
I was at the Emirates.
Yeah, I know you were, and we'll come to them. What I want, I suppose, to ask you before we leave the Haaland question aside, you've seen and played with, particularly in Juventus, great strikers in the past, great players in the past. Where does this lad look as if he'll rank?
Well, he's going to be the best of all time, I think, Eamon. I think he showed that really at Dortmund. He was banging in goals left, right, and centre in the Champions League for Dortmund, who are not a great team, you know. And now he's playing in a great team with all the guys we've just mentioned. So I think if he stays injury free, you know, that's one thing in football that you just can't predict. You know, is he going to stay fit all the time?
Yes.
He could get a bad injury. He could get a bad knee injury or something like that, and he could be out for a long time. But nobody's wishing that on the kid at all. You know, if he stays fit and strong, I mean, he's going to break all the records, I think.
Yeah, and please God he will. Just let me stay with you, Liam. The Spurs-Arsenal match on Saturday, midday game. I fancied Spurs before the match, funnily enough. I thought there might be, with Kane and Son in particular, they might do the Arsenal. But they didn't. And I thought Arsenal were very good value for their result. They are top of the league at the moment, just ahead of City. But Mikel Arteta, I know you've had your reservations rightly, because you can't be jumping in and proclaiming teams too early in the season. But they have made a good start, and they do appear to have a bit of character in the side now that wasn't there before.
Yes, I have character and confidence. You know, they don't look fragile anymore. They look as if they fancy themselves to beat anyone they play, really.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think Arteta's learned on the job over the last 18 months, 2 years. He's learned on the job, and things have certainly improved. Even the guy, Xhaka.
He's a hero, Liam.
Well, no, you know, he's somehow reinvented himself, and you know, you got to give Arteta credit for that. He's not playing in that deep lying midfield role where he was always getting into trouble because of his lack of pace and making fouls and getting yellow cards and often getting a red card. He's playing much more forward now, and I think he's really enjoying his football. So I think that he's an example of what's going on at Arsenal. Everybody's enjoying their football. Everybody's going out and playing, you know. Now, if you look at Spurs, I've watched them. I must have watched about 4 or 5 times this season, Evan, and they've got results playing indifferently. You know.
Yes.
Conte has managed to you know, get wins when they haven't really played that well, and they didn't show up at the Emirates on Saturday either. You know, they were poor, really. You know, and Arsenal, and once they got ahead, particularly with the lad getting sent off, which was a big turning point in the game, but it was such a stupid challenge that he almost deserved a red card, although it wasn't that high. You can people have seen it, said, well, he should have only been a yellow, but it was such a stupid challenge that the referee sent him off. But Arsenal totally dominant. Spurs had a spell 10 minutes in the first half when Kane scored from the penalty, and they had a couple of half chances and things like that. But really, Arsenal were the better team, and they really are playing some good stuff. And Martinelli and Saka on the wings, and Jesus up front has given us a new dimension.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a scrappy goal, that one that Loris made a mistake for, but he was there, wasn't he? And he was sniffing around, hoping something was going to happen or waiting for a mistake, and that's the sign of a great striker. So he's been brilliant as well.
John, I think you agreed with me, I think possibly before the match, that Spurs had a real chance. You can deny that if you want. But
No, I didn't. No, I thought, well, you were talking about the odds of 3-1, Amy.
Yeah.
And I thought, because I think Spurs are very, very difficult to beat, or had been before the weekend. I mean, Arsenal played really, really well.
Yeah.
And deservedly won. But I think what we were saying was, are they 3-1?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
But no, Arsenal well deserved to win. They outplayed Spurs over the 90 minutes.
Yeah. And the transformation of Xhaka, John, which Liam referred to, is actually, there is a positional switch there. He's playing wider, and he's not so much involved in the midfield stuff. This fella, Thomas Partey, who scored the first goal, was a brilliant goal. I mean, he's come from Atletico Madrid. It's taken him a while to find his feet in the Premier League, but he played really, really well now. He's a very good player.
Oh yeah, he's been an asset to them.
Yes.
The only fear I'd have, I call it fear for Arsenal, is Gabriel. I'm not trying to spoil Liam's good win, but I don't trust him most of the time. I mean, I think he's very hot-headed. He's liable to do anything, but that's the only fault I could see with Arsenal. I mean, the against Manchester United a few weeks ago, they were brilliant going forward, not defending very well. Now they're doing both, and they're top of the table, and deservedly so. So it's especially going forward. I mean, they've got terrific players on the ball, and Xhaka is doing his stuff. As you say, he doesn't have that deep line, whatever he was before.
Yeah.
Where he's a bit of madness could come in. I mean, he is a talented guy, but he is doing his stuff, and he's keeping his head. So it does look good for Arsenal. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Liam, the centre back I hadn't seen before, Saliba. Is he a player they've just bought? But he looked. I would agree with...
and they bought him about 3 seasons ago, where they had him on loan in France for a couple of seasons. And the word is that Arteta didn't really fancy him that much, you know.
Right.
But he came back in pre-season, and Arteta stuck him in the team, and he's really been tremendous. I agree with John about Gabriel. I think he's got a mistake in him every match he plays. But Saliba has helped him enormously, you know.
Yes.
He's been such an asset. He's big, strong, quick, can play as well, come out with the ball. He's already got a couple of goals, I think, from set pieces. So he's been like the signings. I know he was out on loan, but they bring him back in. So he's been a huge plus for Arsenal. Jesus up front has been a huge plus. And the Ukrainian left side midfield player or left
Zinchenko,
back, Zinchenko has been. So those 3 guys have really improved the team, really improved the squad.
And just let me ask you about Saka, Liam. He's in the England team. I think he's a really outstanding player. He could be a top player, but I haven't seen him as much as you've seen him. What do you make of him?
He's very good, Eamon.
Yeah,
now, whether he's world class or not, I don't. He's very good. He's very useful. Both him and Martinelli do their stuff on the wings. You know, they get past the full back. They put good crosses in. They've got goals in them as well. Both of them can score goals.
Yes.
You know, he's a top player. But if you were to compare him to Foden, let's say, I'd say Foden's got a bit more in the locker than him. You know, Foden is some player. But a really, really good player, Saka is, Eamon. You know, it's like everything else. If Arsenal are going to keep up this title challenge this year. I think Arsenal fans would be happy to get back into the Champions League, to be quite honest.
Yes.
Because they know how good City are,
Yes.
So these guys need to stay fit. Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. I don't think we've got the strength and depth that Man City have,
No.
It's great to see. It's great to see. And the Emirates is buzzing. The atmosphere is great. We've won 6 out of 7, I think. Or 7 out of 8, 6 out of 7. Now, that's some start to the season. Even under Arsene Wenger, I don't think they did that.
Right, John, Liverpool, former contenders, I'd have to say, they conceded 3 goals to Brighton at home. They were 2-0 down at one stage. I watched the match. I thought they were terrible, John. At the back, Trent Alexander and Virgil van Dijk were really, really poor. Firmino got a couple of goals and played well. But Brighton came back and got an equaliser. I can't see where this Liverpool team is going at all.
Well, I only saw the highlights, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it live.
Yeah.
But obviously, even in the highlights, you could see the mistakes that they made. They weren't getting tight on people. Brighton deserved to win it.
Yeah.
They were a bit unlucky in the end. I mean, it looked like Liverpool had come back when they got back to 2 goals. All right, but they didn't look secured at all. And it's amazing. I was surprised that Klopp during the week, we spoke about it.
On Friday. We spoke about it privately, just to explain to the listeners. Klopp gave his press conference on Friday, and he couldn't understand what all the criticism was about, particularly the criticism of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And he said, when we play the high line, this is by way of explaining how Trent is struggling. He said, when we play the high line, Trent is usually 4 or 5 yards ahead of everyone else. And that's why he keeps getting caught out. Now, I want your opinion and Liam's. My understanding and belief about, if you're playing a high line is you all go together or you don't go together. But you don't have one guy 4 or 5 yards in front of the others. Am I wrong, John?
No, well, the high line is a high line when everybody goes together, Eamon.
Yeah.
But what amazed me, especially in his comment, was that I can't see the criticism of everybody about Alexander bad defending. Yeah. He said, I don't see it. Well, I mean, everybody can see it. I mean, even on yesterday's match, Eamon, or Saturday's match, Saturday, the first goal, he was all over the place. And anytime, he's brilliant going forward. I know I keep saying that. He's brilliant going, everybody knows that. He's brilliant going forward. His distribution is terrific. But he doesn't defend well at all.
No.
And the fact that the manager is saying, well, I can't see that. I can't see why everybody's criticising him for not defending well. And everybody can see.
Well, that's
the manager.
That's it. But
go ahead, Liam.
That's probably why he's not improving in that respect. Alexander-Arnold, Klopp is not. If he can't see that he's ball watching and he's letting his man get in behind him and things like that. Yeah. Well, you're in trouble if the manager doesn't see it.
Exactly, he doesn't see it. Then everybody else see it. He said, "I don't know what the fuss is all about." You know what I mean?
Well, it's crazy comment. Crazy comment.
Yeah, I mean, the result of the match was 3-3, and the rate at which Liverpool are giving goals away is shocking, really. Liam, just let me run that by you. You've been everywhere, and again in Italy, where the masters of defence. When you have a back 4 or a back 3, whatever it is, if you're going to play a high line, if you're going to try and catch the other team offside, you can't have one guy 3, 4 or 5 yards in front of everyone else, can you?
No, you play as a unit.
Exactly.
You have to be synchronized, know when to step out and so forth and things like that. Everyone must understand their role. They can't be, out of sync with one another. That's absolutely essential. But to go back to why the Liverpool are having problems, I mean, they've got no legs in midfield anymore. The guys are in there and they can run, but they haven't got any pace about them, have they? Henderson and Milner,
Fabinho,
and even Thiago. I think that's where it's all gone wrong for Liverpool. They haven't really got the midfield to challenge Man City. They're way off it there.
Yeah, you'd be frightened for them actually if they. Do you know, guy, John and Liam, would like both of that. Start with you, Liam. Virgil van Dijk has been, I think, acknowledged by most critics, including me anyway, and I think all of us, as a great player, great centre half, dominant, quick, great user of the ball. But he made some bad mistakes against Brighton on Saturday. He looks like the wheels have come off as well, and he is, in a sense, the leader of the team right now, and that's surprising as well, John, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's gone through the side. I mean, I watched the match today, and I think it was Shears was saying that the first tackle, it showed Salah going out, near the halfway line, and just gave in.
Yeah, he ran past him.
And he did it twice, and if I know he's a right winger and that, and he scores a lot of goals, but once you see that going through the side or happening, it's trouble. It's real trouble. Yeah. Like Liverpool just don't have that fire and ability when they don't have the ball to really chase down, and they're not doing that at the moment. And that's a basic. And Van Dijk is not doing his stuff either. So that's what happens when with the goals against and that not playing well. That's all part of the game. And I don't know what it is with Liverpool. I don't know why. There must be some reason to it that they're doing what they're doing at the moment. Haven't doing all the great things over the last 3 to 4 years, at least.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, Eamon.
I think Liam has put his finger on one of the problems, which is in midfield. They probably needed to buy a midfield player at the end of last season, actually. Just one point, Liam, about complacency and believing your own hype. It can happen, and to my eye, there are signs that it has happened to this Liverpool team. It's a hunger thing.
Yeah, they don't seem motivated, Eamon. I don't know what it is. The one thing you could guarantee about Klopp's side over the first few years with him at Liverpool was the intensity of their work rate and how they were all going to play for one another. But they're totally off the pace now. And Van Dijk is the biggest example of all. I think he might have his eye on the World Cup, Eamon. He might be saving himself for the World Cup for Haaland. And,
right.
He doesn't seem bothered, does he? He doesn't seem bothered about how bad it is. I don't see him trying to, organise his defence, that back line. I don't see him shouting at people. He's just kind of shrugging his shoulders. They're in a poor position, Liverpool, as regards a challenge for the title this year. I think that's gone, and they'll probably just have to concentrate on the Champions League.
Yeah, and they won't get well in the Champions League because of the quality of opposition. We'll see how far they go, but they won't be challenging Manchester City anytime soon. John, Leeds.
Well, Manchester City haven't won the Champions League.
No, Guardiola, No, they haven't.
I'm sure Guardiola would swap for the Premiership this year or the Champions League.
Absolutely.
He's not won the Champions League outside of Barcelona. So anyone can win the Champions League when it goes to the knockout. When I say anyone, any 4 or 5 teams could win it. So anyway, football is a game of opinions.
It is, and my opinion is that Haaland will be the guy who takes them all the way in that particular competition. John, Leeds United.
Before you go any further, I'd rather win the league than the Champions League.
Yeah, you said this before. Is that because it reflects consistency over a season?
Yes, 38 matches, Eamon. And with what's happening in recent times, with the Liverpool, challenge to City or that. Now, obviously, the City fans would probably rather win. I'm just talking as an ex-pro.
Yeah.
You have to have, in 38 matches, there has to be a consistency of effort, getting points and that. Now, we got Tuchel won the Champions League 2 years ago.
He did, yeah.
He's sacked now. It's a knockout competition, Eamon. There's only a certain amount of... Of course, they're great teams, but the league is 38 matches. And you have to be doing it week in, week out, week in, week out. Right. And I think it's harder to do that than win the Champions League. That's only a personal opinion. Right?
Yeah, I think a great club and a great team needs to confirm its greatness, if you like, by winning the Champions League. Liam, I differ from John on that.
Yeah, well, you look at Man City, they've won loads of titles since the Arab owners come in, and for them, the Holy Grail, and for Guardiola, I reckon, is the Champions League. I understand completely what John's saying, but I think City under Guardiola's won 4 or 5 titles, have they?
5,
So he wants the Champions League, and he wants to show people that he can do it at another club, rather than, when he did it at Barcelona, when he had Messi, Xavi and Iniesta.
Yeah. John, let me ask you about Leeds United. You're trying to hoosh the conversation away from Leeds. Now, home to Aston Villa yesterday.
Yeah.
They had a player sent off. I watched a good bit of it. It was hard to watch, John. It was a poor game. What's happened? Have they lost the sparkle, or was it just one of those games?
I'm not surprised at it, Eamon. They got a couple of matches early on in the season, and everybody gets carried away with that. I think especially the manager gets carried away with it, and it was just a poor game, and there was lots of fouls in it. The lad got sent off doing a stupid thing. What I find with the players now, if they give a stupid thing away, they're still carrying on at the referee. Like the Spurs lad was a stupid tackle, wasn't it?
Yes.
When he was sent off, and they're moaning and groaning at the referee. But anyway, getting back to Leeds, they didn't deserve to win. I don't think anybody deserved to win the match. Villa were just as poor as Leeds on the day. So the no-score draw was about right for the day, I think. But I wasn't sorry to see the match finish.
Just a final question, Liam, to you and to John, of course, about Wolves. They've sacked their manager, Bruno Lage. He's been there since the start of last season. I watched him against West Ham on Saturday evening. I thought they had a load of injuries. I thought they played really well, very bright, played great football, got beat in the end because I think West Ham were able to find weaknesses that were there in their defence through absence. He's gone anyway, and they don't mess around in the Premier League.
There might be another one. There might be another one going tonight. Eamon, there's Notts Forest against Leicester. Whoever comes out losing that match, if there is a loser, there could be another match. This is the Premiership. The Wolves fans were chanting, "You don't know what you're doing." I watched that match on Saturday evening as well, and once that happens, you know what's going to come. It's inevitable. The board are going to blame the manager, and out he goes. The owners, should I say, not the board, the owners.
Yeah, and when we get to this time of the year, John, October, early November, this is the sacking season, isn't it? Because all the hopes of summer and all the optimism and all the money spent, and the results aren't coming. The boys in suits start to get uneasy.
Yeah. But the funny thing with Wolves, Eamon, they haven't been spending money.
No.
This is what I can't understand. They're selling club. I mean, they sold Jota, didn't they, to Liverpool?
Yeah, sold Cody, which is a big mistake to Everton. It was a goodbye for Everton. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've been totally terrible to this manager.
Right.
Terrible. And it's either got in Costa. They got Costa in, didn't they?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Who wants
him? You know what I mean?
him?
Costa, how old is Costa now?
150.
You know what I mean?
He's trouble, John.
They're blaming the manager. They're not giving him a chance. I think it's outrageous, to be quite honest. Absolutely outrageous. I mean, he's done a good job with them over the last few years. Really good job with them. And instead of backing him and getting players in, they're selling players out, and then they blame him for it. It's ridiculous.
Okay, John and Liam, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and most particularly for talking so interestingly about Erling Haaland, who I think will change the face of the Premier League and maybe of Europe. And he doesn't have to go, lads, to the World Cup because Norway aren't in it. So while all the other lads are killing themselves, he'll be sitting at home with his feet up and ready to go again.
He'll be practicing his finishing, Eamon.
He will. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, John.